Gorilla Tag is an excellent game. I don't think I need to explain any further on this. But what comes with the Gorilla Tag also comes movies. Gorilla Tag movies are pretty popular when you search them up, but movies aren't the only thing people make. Episodic movies are made. And the best example of this is The Infection. For a decent story and pretty good acting, The Infection finds a way to be unique while also telling an interesting story. The Infection also has pretty likable characters, well, maybe besides a couple, but most of them are likable. However, The Infection has a lot of flaws. So today, let's go over why I believe The Infection is the best Gorilla Tag episodic series on YouTube. The first episode starts off pretty strong, with two scientists working on Doug the Bug for some reason. They show Doug the Bug to a news reporter, and all of a sudden, the news reporter eats Doug the Bug for some reason. Finally, the news reporter, I think, dies. I'm not too sure. And then the title card plays, which I've already shown 2 times this video. This is a really strong start, establishing a threat that the heroes will have to get past, and also establishing the 2 scientists, which will be important for the plot later. And now we cut to our main characters chilling on the beach. Our little friend Jack goes for a swim, and then he finds the news reporter's dead body. Or so I thought it was their dead body. Jack then comes back up to tell his friends everything he saw down there. As he is explaining, however, the monster attacks. Jack and the blue guy that I always forget the name of escape, but Sam is nowhere in sight. A random lifeguard for some reason gets attacked, and Sam has to escape. After Jack bonks his head on a box, all of them escape to the basement, and that's actually where the episode ends. This episode is really strong when it comes to story aspect. Also, when the lifeguard is killed, it establishes how powerful these monsters are. Overall, for a first episode, this is great. It doesn't have too hard of a story to understand, but it's also not too simple. My only problem with this episode is the ending, which doesn't really do much to advance the plot. But it is only the first episode of 5, so who knows. This is probably one of the better episodes of the series, so let's see how well it does against the other 4. Let's move on to episode 2 of The Infection. The episode starts with some random guy that we have not met yet looking around in the beach. This police officer chief and the guy find this dead body, which is the lifeguard, and the police officer leaves for some reason. The lifeguard's dead body wakes up as an infected monster, and it chases the chief down until it drags it into the water and infects the chief. Also, the guy who owns the beach, I believe, also gets infected by the original news reporter from the first episode. And the guy that was wandering around has to run away. In the news, they talk about everything that's happened at that beach. And then a news reporter gets swallowed by Doug the Bug. Wait a minute. No. The news reporter swallows Doug the frickin'. Anyway, it cuts back to our main heroes that are chilling in the house. And then all of a sudden, Doug the Bug breaks into their house and they're forced to hide. The blue guy beats Doug the Bug up, and then they take him to a scientist. They ask him a lot about why Doug the Bug is freaking causing an infection. And guess what? The scientist doesn't know. Also, remember this line.
I mean, it has venom material in it, but other than that, he doesn't.
Anyway, Doug the Bug freaking infects the scientist, and then that's where the episode ends. Time for my flaws with this episode. The first flaw is that half of the episode is spent with people we don't even know. It would be fine if these people come back, but none of them do. Either they're infected, or they just straight up disappear. I think they're trying to show us that the infection is growing, but that was already shown in the last episode with the lifeguard. And even if they wanted to do that idea, then maybe they could make it shorter and not half of the episode. Also, for my next complaint, the guy that was wandering around the beach, we don't even know what happened to him. All he did was run away from the infected, and that's it. Maybe they could have just shown him being infected. For my next flaw, Doug the Bug just randomly shows up in their house. Why does Doug show up? How do they show up? And what is the deal with Doug? They never go into details about Doug. All we know is that Doug was made by scientists, and they put a little bit of a venom in him, and he's causing the entire infection. That's it. Now you might think I'm being a little too harsh on this. It's a Gorilla Tag fan movie after all. Well, I believe anything can be criticized. It's just some things should be criticized less, or some things can be criticized more. Now for my next complaint. Who the heck is this? Okay, that wasn't that bad of a complaint. I just found it and I thought it was weird. Anyway, this episode's pretty strong. It's pretty good, but not as good as the first episode. I guess it's time to move on to the next. Episode 3 starts with the heroes checking the security cameras because they hear something outside. Turns out it's some idiot that just wants some help from the infected. And fun fact, he gets infected. Yippee! The infecteds break into their house, and now they have to escape. After escaping, they just all kind of agree that they need to hide. And then they kill the monster. Now they choose to hide in this, the parkour. And then this weird fly-looking thing that has never been introduced in the story before comes up and revives the dead monster. They all sleep there, and when they wake up, they try and look for food. In the process, a monster attacks them. And the attack is successful. Jack is infected. He's now this weird shade of green, which is darker than the original. And soon enough, he's fully infected and attacks Sam and the blue guy that I never remember the name of. And they're forced to kill Jack. After running away to the mall, they spot food and go to get it. And can you guess what? The monsters attack the blue guy. Yay! After Sam eats almost all the food, leaving none for the blue guy, they decide to split up using these walkie-talkies and go look for some more survivors. Because, that's what every zombie movie does. An infected attacks them, and then that's where the episode ends. Alright, let's get into the flaws of this episode. First, if Jack's death didn't happen, this episode would be pointless. Other than Jack's death, this episode just makes the main characters move around a lot. Also, this episode is extremely boring. Boring to the point where I kind of forgot how Jack got infected. Okay, so this next flaw is really a flaw with the entire series, but I don't know why I'm bringing it up now, just go with it. Not a single character goes through development at all in this series. Not at all. This wouldn't really be a problem if the characters didn't act the same way as each other. Every character's like, oh no, I'm scared from the infected, but oh geez, I have a weapon, I'm big brain, cool now. This leads to most characters being really forgettable in a show like this. However, let's go over something I liked in this episode. Jack's death. This scene is pretty powerful, mainly because Sam kills Jack, but anyway, the scene is pretty sad, especially when you take into account the ending, but we'll get into that later. Oh, by the way, the scene would have been better if characters had character arcs. Anyway, another way to fix this scene is by having this fly thing appear again. It's pretty mysterious already, but the fact that it just doesn't go and help Jack after it's killed by Sam is weird. Now, before I go on to talk about the next episode, I just want to say that it does seem like I'm being really harsh on this series, which I've already mentioned is my favorite. This is because the bar to the Gorilla Tag movies isn't really high. Gorilla Tag movies or episodic series aren't really the greatest, but when compared between each other, the infection is easily on top. Now, I actually haven't really mentioned why I believe this is the best, but I'll get into that once I talk about all the episodes. There's only 2 more after this, so let's go over episode 4. The episode starts with the blue guy wandering around and getting attacked by like a total of 2 monsters while checking around canyons. And then he tries to call Sam, who doesn't pick up, sadly. Sad day for all the Sam fanboys, including me. And then he meets the second scientist, who makes a trap to catch this guy. Now, this is the guy who mainly worked on Doug the Bug. However, his issue with this is that he didn't get enough credit. This is the guy that threw venom into Doug the Bug after seeing the scientist getting all the praise. He wanted to only kill the first scientist, but it went way too far. This also contradicts what the first scientist said earlier, but we'll get into that in the flaws. Now, the scientist starts working on an antidote. Yippee! Now that the antidote is ready, it's ready to be used, but then they get attacked by some infected monsters, which turns out to be Sam. Another sad day for the Sam fanboys. And then the blue guy uses the antidote on Sam. Sam is revived, and the scientist gets mad because that's apparently the only one, but I thought he could just make it in 15 minutes. Anyway, the blue guy and the scientist get into a fight, and then Sam kills the scientist! You go, Sam. Anyway, they just leave the dead body in mountains and they walk into forest where there's a bunch of infected monsters. And then they decide to fight them. Great idea, guys. Great idea. They're overmatched, obviously, so they run into Treehouse. Anyway, this random guy that's not important to the plot at all, or the story. Wait, that's the same thing. Whatever. This random guy that's not important to the plot gets swarmed by a bunch of infected and never appears in the story ever again. And then the guy who lives in Treehouse accuses the blue guy and Sam of breaking into his house. Purple Man William Afton helps them escape, and then they run away. They run and hide in basement, but then they check the security cameras because they thought they hear and see something, and then we're never shown what it is until episode 5. Yeah. Alright, let's go over flaws. First of all, the scientist thing and getting putting the venom in it, it's kind of stupid and it contradicts what this first scientist said earlier in episode 2. Like, they could have shown more of scientist 2 over here getting jealous of scientist 1 getting all the credit and crap. Or they can find another reason for why the scientist put venom inside this creature. Anyway, for my next flaw, this episode's pretty pointless if it weren't for the stupid scientist plot twist, reveal, whatever. Like, they could have just gotten rid of this and the story would not change at all. Just the Purple Man wouldn't appear in episode 5 at all. Which is probably for the better, because the Purple Man kind of sucks. It feels like they just wanted to stretch episode 4 out as long as possible. Which, I mean, doesn't make the episode better. Anyway, there are more flaws to this episode, but I don't feel like going over them. There's only one more episode left, so let's just get it over with. Let's go to episode 5. The episode starts with Sam and the blue guy checking the door, where they would find a fly thingy. It was the same thing that appeared in episode 3, and the fly thing takes Sam. No! Mr. Blue Man searches around, but can't find him, so he runs back in the basement for some reason. Then he meets back with our old friend, William Afton. William Afton. No, frick, whatever. And they decide to go find where Sam is. Meanwhile, the blue guy is given a flashback of Purple checking out a snow hut, igloo, whatever you want to call it, and he finds this bottle that says Chemical AB. I guess it's a cure or something, and the blue guy sticks it on his gun. They find Sam in canyons, so they go to canyons, and then they find Sam, who is infected. Sam, using the plot armor he has, is cured once again, and then the real villain comes out. This fly thingy we saw in episode 2. Apparently this is one of the scientists that caused the entire infection, but it's never clear which one, so I honestly don't know. Also, Purple's dead. Wait, did that make the fly spring trap? Or whatever. I don't know my math lore. After the most epic fight, Sam bonks the fly, and the fly decides, let's just kill Sam. I'm about to cry, man. I miss Sam. Mr. Blue Man, that I still have no idea what his name is, hides in a barrel after learning that Sam is dead. And soon enough, he gets killed too. Okay, what's the deal with this? Why is everyone dying? I thought the heroes were supposed to win. But then, the blue guy's taken to heaven. This is where he meets up with Sam in the afterlife. And soon enough, they meet up with Jack too. Jack shows them around, and they're bouncing on clouds, having fun, and that's where the story ends. I believe that this is the perfect ending for this episodic series, because we'd already been shown how powerful the infection is. There really is no way for the main characters to beat it. And so, this is the best ending for everyone. And just not really the ending we all expected either. Or want either. Why the heck did they put this? They ruined this part of the ending. I guess it's time to go over flaws then. Which, other than that cliffhanger ending that sucks, I guess the only real flaw I have with this is the villain, which isn't really explained much. All they do is just mention that the villain is the scientist who got infected, I guess, and created the virus. Honestly, I don't know. My guess is that it's the scientist that got taken over by Doug, but I'm not sure about it. It might have been the other scientist that felt underappreciated. All I'm saying is that this villain could have been used a lot more than just twice, and also used more than just a last-minute climax. But you know, something that's good about this? It's threatening, which is what I like about a villain, or an antagonist, whatever you want to call it. I believe that the infection really is a great episodic series on YouTube. Despite its many flaws, I really enjoyed it, and let me tell you why. Its story was interesting, its characters were kind of interesting, and the story it wanted to tell didn't seem like it got changed that much through production. What I mean by this is that they did everything that they wanted to do for the series. They pulled it off. Some well, some not so well. And though it's many flaws, if you're able to look past it, this show can be a pretty fun time. And those are my thoughts on Gorilla Tag, the episodic series, The Infection, made by Lux VR. Please go subscribe to him. This series is great. Now, before I end this video, while I was editing, I somehow found an even better Gorilla Tag episodic series, and let me show you it. It's called The Experiment, and it has so much amazing things about it. I need a full video on this too, but it's not over yet, so I'm gonna have to wait until it is. It's made by Ananap, so I think that's how you pronounce it. So please go check it out. It's really amazing. And I think it's time to say goodbye. Thanks for watching me ramble on for almost 19 minutes. And I'll see you all for my next video. Bye. Oh gosh, that voice crack was